Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming here this evening. We're joined here tonight by our state legislative delegation, State Representative and newly named Chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, Brian Dempsey. Where's Brian? State Senator Steve Bador and newly elected State Representative Jim Lyons. Thank you very, very much for coming. I know she was coming. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Denise Johnson, aide to Congresswoman Nikki Songas, and I know there are several members. There's Denise, and thank you very much for coming. And I know there's several members. Our school superintendent, Jim Scully, is here, and I know there are several members of the Haverhill School Committee. I see Ray Supina and any other members of the Haverhill School Committee. Thank you for coming. I also want to introduce Head of the Chamber of Commerce and former State Senator Jim Jajuga. Thank you very much for coming. 1 year ago, I addressed you in the midst of the worst economic crisis in 70 years. We faced a hail debt in the upcoming series of local aid cuts to every city in the country. To meet the challenge, a year ago, I put forth a two-part plan to keep our city afloat. I challenged our unions to work with us to cut costs, and I challenged our city council to work with us to increase revenues. I'm happy to report to you tonight that the plan we put forth a year ago is working, but there are steeper hills to climb and even more challenges ahead. Tonight, 74% of the employees who work for the city have accepted the new health care plan that I proposed a year ago. They also agreed to pay more of their health care premiums and to pay increased copays. And most of the unions also agreed to a set of reforms for new hires that, if every union in the city agreed, will allow us to weather all but the most severe financial storms. The second step of this plan was to find a way to raise revenues without raising property taxes. Tonight, the average homeowner in Haverhill has the 6th lowest property tax in the entire Merrimack Valley, in the bottom 20%, and we want to keep Haverhill affordable. To raise revenues without increasing property taxes, we challenged the City Council to work with us to adopt a local option meals tax that would generate $600,000 in new revenue to keep our city afloat without raising property taxes. Tonight, I'm happy to report that the City Council majority also met the challenge, and I thank them tonight for doing the right thing a year ago. Thank you very much, Council. Because of the plan we put together a year ago, the Bradford Fire Station remained open. 5 school teachers who were given pink slips were called back to work, and 2 school resource officers from the police department were spared from layoffs. Our plan is working, but to meet today's challenges, there's more to do. We survived the largest municipal debt in the history of the state because so many people worked together to make it happen. Our state delegation stepped up to the plate with assistance for the hail debt, and tonight I'd like to recognize them and thank them, led by State Representative Brian Dempsey and State Senator Steve Bador. Thank you for your help. Thank you very much. We've been meeting the challenge of the hail debt because we held the line on spending, reorganized city government, and instituted the best management practices from other cities and from private industry. This year, we became the first community in the state to buy goods online in what's called the reverse auction, and we saved our taxpayers nearly $100,000. But we've also been meeting the challenge because we tackled head-on our #1 budget problem, healthcare costs for municipal employees. We asked all of our unions to work with us to cut healthcare costs, and over the years, we've consolidated 5 plans into one, increased the amount that employees paid for their healthcare premiums, and increased the amount they paid for their healthcare costs. We instituted the Canadian Drug Plan, and we saved our taxpayers over $1 million in savings. Tonight, the savings, the healthcare reforms that we instituted over the years lower our healthcare costs by $1.8 million a year, lower than they would have been had we never instituted these reforms. And over the years, the reforms we've implemented have saved taxpayers over $11 million. Now, we accomplished in healthcare what many people said was impossible, working with our unions to lower costs. But there's so much more that has to be done. Tonight, only 1% of the school department employees have accepted the new healthcare plan that 74% of our city workers accepted. And not a single school union has agreed to pay what city workers have agreed to pay, 25% of their healthcare premiums. Tonight, I call for a renewed commitment from our school committee and from our school unions to get the job done and to place the school unions into the same plan at the same premium split as the city employees. Our children deserve it. Now, we've accomplished a lot in healthcare, but we've also shown the limits of what can be done without reforms to state laws. It's time for the state to take the handcuffs off local communities and give us the same tools that the state reserves to themselves to change and control healthcare costs. We're encouraged with the bills that have been filed by the governor and by House Speaker DeLeo, and we urge tonight our legislative team to take action and to give us the tools to control our destiny. We have here in Havel a fine group of employees that I'm proud to lead. We have over 100 employees last year who had perfect attendance, and I thank them tonight for their hard work and their commitment to our city. When we cut 86 employees, or 26% of our workforce, most of our citizens never noticed because our employees stepped up to the plate, worked harder, worked longer, and worked smarter with automation and mechanization, so that most of you never noticed that a highway department and parks department that once had nearly 70 people today has 12. Most of you never noticed that our audit department, which once had 7 people, now has 3, that our purchasing department, which once had 3 people, now has 1. We know that our employees are not our greatest liability. They're our greatest asset. But we also know that there are problems. Our sick leave numbers 2 years ago were higher than we wanted them to be. So we instituted a comprehensive sick leave control program to lower sick leave costs and save money for taxpayers. I'm happy to report to you tonight that that plan is working, that our employees have stepped up to the plate and worked with us to lower sick leave costs. Throughout the city, sick leave usage is down by over 5,000 hours from where it was just 2 years ago, and sick leave in the fire department is down by 4,000 hours. The reforms we put in place 2 years ago have worked. Our employees have stepped up to the plate, reduced sick leave by 23%, and saved us $150,000 in overtime costs. And I ask you to give our hardworking and dedicated employees a round of applause this evening. Now, we know that there's more to do. In working with the fine men and women of the city and the fine men and women of the fire department, we're going to make all of our departments better, and we're going to improve. Now, a key to Havel's future is to improve our tax base and expand our economic base. We started several years ago when we had a vision of a new downtown, and we embarked on a plan to recycle abandoned factory buildings into new places to live and new sources of tax revenue. Tonight, I'm proud to report to you that our plan is working. The abandoned Hamel Leather Factory is now Hamel Mills Lofts. Fifth Avenue Shoe is now the Cordovan Building, and the Hayes Building, abandoned for half a century, lives again on Granite Street. None of this happened by accident. These once abandoned buildings now bring in an additional $333,000 a year in tax revenue and provide jobs, provide housing to over 800 new residents. These 800 residents who live downtown, some of whom are here tonight, frequent our downtown restaurants. And tonight we have 24 restaurants downtown in what Yahoo.com, headquartered in San Francisco, called one of the best restaurant zones in the entire country. These restaurants provide jobs to over 170 of our residents. Tonight, I'm proud to introduce restaurant number 25. They started in Faneuil Hall Marketplace, and they're here in Havel tonight. Please welcome the executives from Boston Chowder, restaurant number 25. Now, every success story brings with it a new set of challenges. Problems never go away. When you solve one problem, another one always comes up. Tonight, parking lots that were empty for decades, streets that most people in Haverhill had never heard of before, are suddenly filled with new residents and new customers who need a place to park. I can report to you tonight that the parking garage is on schedule. We expect it to open by Thanksgiving and have 350 parking spaces available downtown. But for all of our progress, downtown, the best is yet to come. This year, we'll unveil our new streetscape plan, paid for entirely with federal tax dollars. By this fall, you'll have an entirely new look and feel to our downtown. We'll have new trees, new park benches, new flowers, and new sidewalk dining. This year, we'll unveil our new facade improvement program to allow the owners of private business to be able to fix up their businesses, bring them back to life, and put more people to work. We'll work with our cultural council to bring some concerts downtown and to make the creative economy downtown a reality. Now, the downtown is an important part of our success, but the key to job growth in Haverhill is in our business parks. 2 years ago, we offered a small tax incentive to a company called Magellan Aerospace, which makes parts for Rolls-Royce engines, to come here to Haverhill. Tonight, I'm proud to report that those incentives worked, and the executives of Magellan Aerospace are here tonight to announce that they're expanding and adding 30 to 40 new jobs to our city. Please welcome the executives from Magellan Aerospace here to Haverhill. Thank you. Now, on the other side of the same building that was once abandoned not too long ago off of Route 97, we worked hard a few years ago to offer some small incentives to a clothing manufacturer called Southwick Clothing to persuade them not to do what so many other clothing manufacturers had done and go to the Far East, but to relocate here to Haverhill. We offered them some small incentives, and tonight I'm proud to announce that those incentives works. And the executives from Southwick Clothing are here tonight to announce that they too will be expanding and adding another 40 jobs to the economy in Haverhill. And soon, every Brooks Brothers suit made in America will be made right here in the city of Haverhill. Please welcome Southwick Clothing. But the best is yet to come. And tonight, we're proud to introduce the latest company to join our business community. Those of you that ski know this name, Swix Sports USA. Now, Swix is headquartered in Lillehammer, Norway. Anyone that knows about skiing knows about Swix ski wax, about Swix poles, and Swix accessories. A few months ago, we began meeting with Swix to offer them some small incentives to come here and to persuade them that Haverhill means business is more than just a slogan. It's our way of life here. Tonight, I'm happy to announce that Swix will bring their entire United States operations here to Haverhill and bring with them 35 to 40 new jobs the day they start, and we hope many more to come. Please join me in welcoming the newest member of our business team, Swix Sports USA. And their landlord, Peter Swartz. Thank you very much. Now, these companies didn't come here by accident. They came here because of the hard work of our economic development team, working in conjunction with the Chamber of Commerce. And tonight I want to thank our Economic Development Director, Bill Pillsbury, and the head of our Chamber of Commerce, Jim Jajuga, for working together and for helping to make this happen. Thank you very much. Now, we're proud of what we've accomplished, and we're proud of the jobs that we've brought here. But we know that many of our citizens are still hurting. The economists tell us that the recession is over, but I hear differently from people every day. Every day I meet people who tell me that they used to work at Western Electric, making $50,000 a year, and now they're working for $10 to $15 an hour when they can find work at all. Bringing jobs to our city is a priority of this administration. And over the next few months, I'll be announcing a new CEO ambassadors team to take the ambassadors and the representatives of the companies that have already come here and know that we mean business, to join with Bill Pillsbury and I, going out to meet with companies that are expanding, to tell them to expand here. We want your jobs. Havel means business. Now, jobs and businesses are important, but the center of Havel isn't downtown, and it isn't in the business parks. The center of Havel is in our neighborhoods. We've worked hard over the years to make your neighborhoods cleaner, greener, and friendlier. Earlier this year, we planted more trees than we'd planted in decades, and we put into Swayze's Field the first new playground that had been installed in Havel in years. And for the first time in decades, we put bathrooms in some of our city parks and playgrounds. The best is yet to come. This year, we'll start work on a brand new park in Bradford along the river, the first new park to be installed in Havel in decades. Now, a year ago, we made curbside single-stream recycling in our city citywide. And I'm happy to report to you tonight that that program is working. Over the last year, our recycling rate has had a staggering 50% increase. And this year, the taxpayers of our city saved $150,000 because of our curbside recycling program. But the best is yet to come. Over the next few months, we'll be announcing our Neighborhood Recycling Champions program, and we'll be asking all of you to join us, to go out into the neighborhoods and to sell recycling to those few that haven't got the message, and to do even more with recycling. Now, the key to a great future is great schools. Despite our budget cuts, we've made education our top budget priority. Tonight, we spend $10 million more on education than we spent on the day I took office. And over the years I've been in office, we've spent $3 million more on education than the state required. Education is the key to our future, and we need to do even more. We made fixing our high school our top capital priority. Early in my term as mayor, I signed a $29 million bond order to fix our high school. Later, we expanded that plan to replace the entire electrical system at the school so that our children would have a state-of-the-art school of tomorrow. And most recently, we expanded that again to fix the interior and exterior of the school. Now it's time to begin to fix our other schools. We can do this by taking advantage of the new Green School Repair Program, which sets aside money to replace school roofs, school boilers, lighting systems, and windows, and has the state pay a portion. Now, we all know that under our economic circumstances, paying for our portion will be a problem. And to pay for our portion, I will ask the school committee and the city council to join with me in selling off some unused school buildings and using the funding to pay for our portion of the capital improvements we need in our middle and elementary schools. Now, we all know that in this tough economic times, there are things that we can't do. There are things that are going to have to wait. But we know that we can get started, and we will, and I ask tonight the council and the school committee to join with me in this program to fix our schools. Now, the most important thing that happens in schools isn't the building. It's what happens inside the building. Just a few years ago, one of our children graduated from college. The president of the university said during the commencement that the finest teachers in the world were right there on that Ivy League campus. My daughter turned to me and said, "No, this isn't true. The best teachers are in Havel." I believed that then, and I believe that tonight. Because of our teachers, our schools have been making progress. The district-wide dropout rate in the past 5 years dropped 44%, from 7.2% to 3.2%, a remarkable achievement at any time, but particularly remarkable with the budget cuts they've had to endure. Now, many people believe it's impossible to raise MCAS scores at the same time you lower dropout rates. But our school leaders managed to do exactly that. Over the past 5 years, our math scores are up by 15.6 points, and our English language arts scores are up by 9.7 points. In this year, under the great leadership of our new superintendent of schools, Jim Scully, and his team, we're making even more progress. This year, attendance is up and school problems are down. More kids are attending school and fewer of them are misbehaving, and we're on the right track. But for all we've done, I'm nowhere near satisfied in education. Massachusetts school test scores are #1 in the nation, and our MCAS scores are 3rd among all the gateway cities in the state. But I won't be satisfied until we're #1, not just among gateway cities, but among all the cities in the state. We know there's more to do, and we intend to do it. Now, as I look at our city, I see great challenges ahead, but I also see good people throughout the city working hard to make Haverhill great. I see people who have stuck with us. I see a population that's going up slowly. People are moving to Haverhill, even when they're moving out of other parts of Massachusetts. I see a business community that stuck with us in the toughest times, continues to invest, and continues to add new jobs. I see a city where the state of the city is in our hands. So I tell you tonight, the state of our city is strong, and I thank you all for coming, and thank you for your attention. Thank you very much. Please join me for a reception downstairs in the mayor's office. Thank you all for coming.